Howdy everyone, Pete Daddy here. Today I wanted to talk about the best formations, custom tactics, and instructions to help you dominate FIFA 21. These are the tools I use to win all 5 of my placement matches and to move firmly into Division 1 where I can now collect those sweet, sweet ultimate pack rewards every week. In fact, these are so hot they're worth pushing the Whopper button for.
Tell the crew to push the Whopper button.
So let's get started, but before we do, please make sure to subscribe down below, check the description, join my Discord, follow me on Twitter, all that good stuff, but let's just get right to it. First and foremost, let's just go right to the formation. I've tried several different formations, but I have come back to it. It's one I've used for the last couple FIFAs, and that's going to be the 4-2-3-1. So this is what I'm staying in basically 99% of the time. I tested out a few other two-striker formations, but let me just show you. And I guess you can see right there, maybe the first controversial thing. I tested it a little bit on balanced. I tried playing a little bit higher, but I am back to playing a low depth. However, this year the defense is so weird. Defending is just absolutely crazy, completely different in FIFA 21. I feel like you're going to have a low depth, but it doesn't play as much like a low depth as it has in previous FIFAs. In previous FIFAs, I would sometimes play drop back, but I would play maybe 4 depth, 5 depth, sometimes even 6 depth. And my reasoning for that is that I kind of play aggressive. So sometimes I would go out with my CMs, my center backs, try to win the ball back, make that aggressive tackle. But I liked having someone else back to switch to it. So it always felt to me like I could be aggressive, but I have other players back that could kind of bail me out if I messed up on my manual defending. This year it seems like a death sentence. If you send your guy out, you're more having to absorb pressure. And in fact, until I got some better defenders like Sergio Ramos and Varane, and even I had Mario Hermoso before Varane, he did really nice. I talked about this on another video. I tried like Koulibaly and Manolas. I did not like them. So I think defenders are going to be so important this year, having guys that can win the ball, but they don't seem to just drop back and absorb everything this year. They still allow a lot of room. Through balls are very dangerous this year, so you've got to protect yourself against that first and foremost. So I am recommending this 3 width because I still want to be compact. You're going to allow a little bit up on the wing, but the way I always look at it is you've got to get good at switching, though. So you've got to get good at controlling your people. So if you see a guy making a run up the wing, you've got to right stick switch to your fullback and then cover that manually. But I like having my width at 3 because it keeps me compact, because ultimately, even if a guy's making a run up the wing, he's not going to score a goal from there. So you got to remember that. You got to think, too, when you're defending, what's the most dangerous thing to you? And the most dangerous thing is still at the middle around the goal. So I like having my width at 3 just to be more compact. And I'm liking the depth at 2. It doesn't feel like a 2 depth from previous FIFAs, so I'd recommend trying that out. I know it has a stigma of people playing deep, but it just doesn't feel like that this year to me. And I feel like that's almost the way you're going to have to defend. And I've started seeing a big difference, especially playing in Division 1. It feels like more people are switching to further and further back. And it's starting to feel more like old school FIFA, like where maybe there's only like 4 shots for each team in a match. I had one in Division 1. I think my last match, it was 4 shots for each of us. The goal, it was still, I won 3-2. So goals are flying in at a faster rate because once you get into those spots, they seem to fly in FIFA 21. But we're starting to get a little bit better at defending those through balls, but that's what you got to do. I feel like this is what's working for me. Once I switched to this, I started dominating matches in Division 2 as I rose up to Division 1. I have not lost a match in Division 1 yet. I had 1 draw. The other ones I've won every match with these tactics. So that is, to me, the key this year is going to be defending, and there may actually be more of a skill gap this year because the defending is harder. So I noticed, especially in my placement matches, I was able to get more through balls through, able to do some of that stuff. Once I've gotten to Division 1, we have people that know how to switch, so it's going to be imperative this year. Really work on your right stick switching, learn how to switch to your fullback fast, learn how to switch to the right center back, but don't rush out this year as much. You've got to be very cautious because you get punished if you miss a tackle. So just be cautious of that. I'm putting a lot of time on this because defending is so key this year. So let's get to our offensive tactics. I still like balanced. I tried a little bit with fast build up and a little bit with long ball. However, I did a video looking at the pitch notes for FIFA at the very beginning of the year. When you have it on long ball, if you have it on get in behind, if you have it on fast build up, that overrides some of the attack positioning instructions that EA has implemented this year for your AI opponent. So I'm still liking it on balanced. I'm looking for attackers with high attack positioning, as high as possible, because that helps them make those smart runs, those intuitive runs. And it's a good year for people who like to pass the ball because you're able to control the ball. You're able to kind of pick out runs. Players are moving more. I know there were some videos last year for FIFA 20 where you just saw this completely stagnant offense where people weren't moving. This year you get a little bit more movement. You're able to pick out a few more runs, but still another important key. Use this LB right here to trigger runs. Through balls are very important on offense, so trigger your runs. Point at who you want to make a run. Use the LB button. I haven't done a lot with creative runs. It still seems like a little confusing to get that set up. I'm just more relying on the AI to get into those dangerous positions. As long as I have good attack positioning, bide your time and find that. So width, I still like 5. I've said this for a long time. Wing play is still very important. So when you're playing a 4-2-3-1, your wide cams work both as cams and wingers. So, you know, that wing play, getting the ball up the wing is very important. Players in the box, I've just kind of left this on 4. Honestly, this one I haven't played around with a ton, but this has worked for me. It seems like when you get into those positions, you just bang in the goals. And it feels like you got to have room outside of the box to pass around. Passing around with like your CDMs, which I'll kind of talk about that in just a second, but 4 for players in the box has worked for me. For corners and free kicks, I'm just putting this at 2. Mainly, I just don't want to get countered on either one of those, so I just have it on 2. I haven't played around a lot with the other one. Direct corners can work a little bit this year, so there's nothing wrong with direct corners, or, you know, if you play it short, you're just going to pass around anyway. So I don't see any real downside to playing this, any upside, should say, to playing this at like 5. Just play it at 2. If you score from a direct corner, you're just going to somehow find the head of your guy in the box, and he's just going to bang it in. And if you play it short, by the time you get it around, you're going to have other people supporting you. But so 2 and 2 just to prevent an easy counter against you. As far as formational setup and the types of players you're looking for, you can see this is how I have my team set up. I have Heung-min Son as my striker. I have Alejandro Gomez as my cam, Dries Mertens and Lozano as my wide cams. I would honestly like a little bit more pace on my Mertens, but I am keeping him on a dead-eye chem style. I haven't put a hunter on him yet, and I think it's because he still has decent pace, but Lozano has a lot of pace of it. I want Mertens to really be able to shoot and pass with that. So it feels like Mertens is getting involved, but maybe not just doing those runs, those unlocking the defenses. He's more like being involved for me. And also this year, where your AI opponents are or AI teammates are a little bit smarter, seems like your wide cams are maybe making a few more runs into the box, getting a little bit more involved. So I just really like having that on Mertens, but I may change him to a hunter. I just haven't fully decided yet, but I am liking Mertens, but that would be the only thing, you know, that's again what you're looking for is pace. You want pace everywhere, but where you really want pace is your wide cams and maybe your striker. You can get away with a little less pace on your cam because he's more linking up everything. Now Gomez has plenty of pace, you know, you always want pace. I'm just saying if you've got a cam like a Ziyech or a De Bruyne or someone like that, that's where you can get away with a little less pace. So then for my CDMs, and I think CDMs this year are going to be very, very important. You know, I was talking about defending is crazy this year. You need 2, in my opinion, you need 2 CDMs that have a lot of defensive awareness. I've talked about this a little bit before in previous videos, but, you know, what I used to do for my CDMs, I'd have someone like Conte or, you know, just a pure defensive midfielder, someone that's known for being a ball winner, like Sissoko last year is a great example. And then I would pair them with someone like a De Bruyne, like a Bruno Fernandes, like a Luka Modric, someone who's maybe got a little bit of defense, but they're more known for their attacking capabilities. This year, I feel like you need a lot of defending in your CDM, so that is a big difference for me, and I've stopped so many things. Once I changed my CDMs And for me, it's like I did not feel in control of my team when I first started, like with my starter team. I think I had Paulinho and Anderson Talisca, which was more like what I used to do. One, they're cheap, those are starter team options, but Paulinho's decent defensively, and Talisca's got just a little defense, but mostly known for attacking. And I just felt like I was getting overrun in the midfield, or that I just couldn't control it. I just didn't feel out of control. I was winning matches, just didn't feel like I had the power, I guess is what I should say. With Valverde and Nainggolan, I am loving both of those guys. They just seem to really win the ball back for me. This year, another tip, what can really work, if you can kind of press once you turn the ball over, then you are able to get some really nice scoring opportunities, because it seems like this game is a little slow. So it sometimes, if say a center back wins the ball off of you, it sometimes takes them a little bit before they can kind of turn around and make that pass. So if you can just kind of get right on them with someone like Valverde or someone like Nainggolan, you can win the ball back and sometimes get some easy goals. Those are some of the easiest goals, and that was one of the things I needed to change. I was turning the ball over too much, transitioning from defense to attack, so I've had to be smarter with that, and I recommend that as well. Be really cautious with your passes. Seems like, especially if you have like low passing CBs, like for instance, I had Manolas for a little while, has great pace, a decent defender, but his passing is actually the worst rated passing for a gold center back. I don't know what Manolas did to be the worst passing center back of a gold center back, but that was killing me. I was trying to pass out with Manolas. His passes would be off. I'd turn the ball over. So you've got your team transitioning to attack. Then he turned the ball over. They can't get back in time to stop that counter. So you've got to be really cautious when you're transitioning from defense to attack. But you can take advantage of that when your opponent is transitioning. Pound on them, press them, get that ball back. So that's a great way to score. But that's a long-winded way of saying having two more defensive-minded CDMs, like someone like Valverde, Nainggolan, maybe Conte and Allen, some of those who still have some offensive capabilities. Nainggolan and Valverde, I think, are like perfect. And I'll mention another one I played with, Marcus Llorente. I loved Marcus Llorente. He was really strong. I'd say Valverde's maybe a hint better than Llorente, but if you've got Llorente in your team, he's doing awesome as well. Then as far as the back line, you're looking for pace. I will say I was hating defending in this game until I went to Sergio Ramos. Ramos, in my opinion, is the best center back so far, although I have not really tested Virgil. That's the only top center back I haven't really tested. But Ramos is the first one I've had that can win the ball back, that can do those types of things. And Varane, I just got like 3 or 4 games ago, and he's another one. It seems like on par with Ramos. As far as cheaper options, one of the cheaper players I liked, Mario Hermoso, was absolutely amazing. He did great work for me, and that's a nice link to Marcus Llorente as well. I think that's a perfect link because they're both Spanish, both Atletico Madrid. So that's another idea if you need something cheaper. I mean, Varane was not cheap. I got Varane. Once you made it to Division 1, you got an additional 50,000 coins, and I was able to get some nice packs and was able to get Varane into the team. And then for fullbacks, I've got Reguilon, mainly to link Heung-min Son, but I don't have any problems with Reguilon. And then Kappa, I think, is a really nice Spanish right back, and he just links up perfectly with Ramos. Or it's not a perfect link, but I just say that, just to say it. But they're both Spanish, both La Liga, so it's not a hyperlink, but a strong link. So Kappa is nice. What I like about Kappa, he actually has some physical stats. So if you have physical fullbacks, and sometimes they can body those runners a little bit. So I do like that about Kappa. So that's what I'm looking for in my team setup, just to help you guys, building your team this year. I think having a nice balanced team is going to be very crucial this year. Let's get into instructions. So on Heung-min Son, you can see that, nothing crazy. What do we have there? Default, 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 default. So all completely just whatever on Heung-min Son. I'm letting him make his runs. I'm letting the AI kind of pick that stuff out. He's getting into the areas that I want him to do, so I'm not doing anything to Heung-min Son. Gomez, look at that. Default, 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 default. Same thing. I'm letting him do his stuff, so I'm not putting any instructions on my striker or my cam. And I think that is working out really well for me because, I want Gomez to maybe get back a little bit if he needs to support the defense, but I also want him to be ready to just transition into that counterattack, get the ball out. I want him to be an outlet once I win the ball back. So Gomez and Son, no instructions. Now, we do have instructions on our wide cams. I've got them on come back on defense and get into the box for cross. I want them to come back mainly because, again, defense is so crazy this year. Until you can start getting used to that, maybe I'll be able to change it at some point, but just the defending is crazy this year. And until I made these changes, I just did not feel like I had any control defensively. But Mertens, and I have the same thing on the other wide cam, Mertens and Lozano both do not have high defensive work rates, so they will come back, but they do not come back like previous FIFAs. They are not like way back in the box. So I do like that they've made some of those changes, but I want them back there where I can maybe switch to them if I need to. The other thing that allows me to do, if you guys remember, I play in 3 width. So sometimes what that allows me to do, instead of having to change to my fullback, like say if I have a run down Lozano's wing, Kappa, I can maybe keep him inside on that 3 width and run down the wing with Lozano. Then that keeps my defense very compact in the middle, makes it very hard to break down. And that's just kind of the mentality you need to have. You want to be hard to break down. You don't want to give up any easy goals. And that was what at the very beginning, or maybe midway through before I kind of figured out some of these things. Like I said, the easy goals I was giving up was those transition ones when I would win the ball back and try to pass out. I would either be trying to break out too fast or trying to make passes that these poor passing center backs could not make. And so I was giving up easy goals that way. So you just want to think, you don't want to give up easy goals. Goals fly in at a higher rate this year. So if you can prevent 1 or 2 easy goals per match, that's going to make a huge difference. So just think about that. You want to be hard to break down. Try to find the biggest threat. As far as my CDMs go, take a look at that. I've got Nainggolan completely on a default except for cover center. Again, I want to keep everybody compact in the middle. You've got to remember, eventually, if someone wants to score, they've got to come into the middle. If they're making a big run down the wing, even if there's no one covering them, they still are not going to score if they're at the corner flag. So you just got to remember that. What's the biggest threat? I see sometimes people just commit so many people to a runner up the wing that it doesn't make sense, and it allows your whole middle of the park to just be wide open, and so they just make an easy pass back into the middle, and then you have no one to defend with. So always be thinking again, what's the biggest threat? But the biggest difference on this, last year, I'll show you what I played. I played one of my CDMs on get forward, and that was because the defending was completely different last year. This year, there's a bigger skill in defending, so I've got to have some more support for the defending. I don't want Nainggolan just to go free onto the goal. I want him to support the attack, but I want him to be thinking about defending all the time. So I do not have this on get forward anymore. In fact, these are the instructions I normally used on my more defensive CDM, but you can see here, look at this. On my other CDM, cover center, but I have him on stay back while attacking. Now, Valverde and Nainggolan still get involved. Now, when you're attacking, those passes between your 2 CDMs help out so much. So don't neglect those. Make sure that you're passing the ball back and forth. If you get stuck in something, pass back to your CDMs. If I've got Lozano going into the box, but there's nothing there, pass back to Nainggolan. Nainggolan pass back to Valverde, or pass across to Valverde. Those lateral passes this year seem to be working as well. Just kind of, you have people kind of coming at you, so if you can pass laterally, then that commits one of their defenders, then that opens up some space for those through balls that are so dangerous this year. So through balls are very dangerous, so having CDMs that have some ability to pass the ball, control a little bit, and attack helps out a lot. So those lateral passes work really well this year. For my back line, everyone is just on stay back while attacking. However, I always say this, if you've got a good run with your fullback, like say if I pass out, if I win the ball back and I pass to Kappa and there is no one in front of him, I will bomb him up the pitch, make someone stop you. Sometimes people will just pass out with their fullback, pass it immediately. Then you've kind of made it easier for the defense. You want to make it hard. So, like we were saying, on defense, you want to have the mentality, you want to be hard to break down. Well, on offense, you want to be the same way. You want to make it hard for you to stop. So if I've got my fullback going, I'm going to take Kappa as far up as he possibly can go until he gets stopped. Now that's if he's making a run. Now if he's at my own corner flag, I'm not just going to run up with him or something like that. But I'm saying if I pass to him on the wing, so That, again, another long-winded way of saying get your fullbacks involved. Even though we've got them on stay back while attacking, that's mainly because once I drive Kappa up, maybe if I even drive him up to where into a crossing position, and then he crosses it in or he passes back to Nangolan, then I want him to haul his booty back on defense. So that's what the stay back while attacking is there for. Also, if you're in attack, look for your fullbacks. That's generally wide open space where your fullbacks are. So look to pass to them, get them involved, even though it's on the stay back while attacking, manually get them involved. So that's a very important thing to help you with attacking. And then again, center backs on stay back while attacking. So, put a lot of time on this one because, like I said, the 4-2-3-1, this is what I'm spending 99% of my time in. I'll talk briefly about these other ones so you can see what I'm doing. The other two formations I like, I have not loved 4-2-2, just to be honest with you. I did like 4-4-2 a lot, and so if I need to come back, I will put something like this. And generally what I do, I have this on the 2 depth, but I really don't like playing the 4-4-2 on 2 depth. I like playing 4-4-2 more on like 4 to 5 to 6 depth, and it also kind of depends on it. Usually if I'm putting it in 4-4-2, it's because I want to adjust the play up. I want to change things around. I'm just not breaking down my opponent. This is more of an attacking formation, and I think it could work for a lot of people this year. And you can see here I've got a little bit more on players in the box. Formationally, it's set up very similar. I just take my cam and move him to the striker role. But as far as instructions go, I'll show you what I've got. You can see my strikers completely default. My RM and LM, same thing, come back on defense, get into the box for cross. I've got my one CDM, a one that's going to be a little bit more attacking, still on balance, still on cover center, but I got him on stay on edge of box for cross because I don't want him to I don't want him to disrupt the 2 strikers. I want him to get to the edge of the box and be available for a passing option, but not getting into the box. Valverde, I've got him stay back while attacking and cover center, and then fullbacks also on stay back while attacking. However, my favorite formation for trying to bang in goals this year is the 4-1-2-1-2, the wide version. I know the narrow version has been something popular over the years, but I am liking this wide version. You can see here, again, I would change this, probably put the depth up to about 4 or 5 if I'm using it to come back. If I'm using it for just a normal match, if I want to just switch things up, then I'll put it on the 2 depth. Mainly the reason I put them on that is if I switch to them in game before I can get a pause in, I don't want to be exposed. I want to just pause the game and then kind of come in and manually adjust some of these things to what I think is needed in that particular match. But same thing, balance, 5 width, 5 players in the box. Formationally, now this is where if you're going to play this, now I've enjoyed playing this just full time, but I would probably want a little bit different setup. At this one, I probably would not want Nangolan out here. I would want to get someone a little pacier, just someone that's more attack oriented. So you could, on this one, you want just the one CDM, and then you want someone out here that's maybe, like I said, more pace, so you can really punish the defense. So if I'm switching to this in game, I'm going to sub Nangolan off and bring on like a sub like Rafa, who's got like 93 or 94 pace. I'm going to bring someone pacey that's going to be able to unlock the defense. But this has worked amazingly for opening up space up the wings. Then you have 2 strikers and a cam. It seems to work really well for banging in goals. So this is what I'd recommend if you are trailing in a match and you need to come back. Try out this 4-1-2-1-2 wide. Works really, really well, and I'll show you the instructions really quick. We've got balanced on my strikers again. I have not messed with them. On my cam, I've got him on free roam. I just want him to be really wide open to go wherever the AI thinks he needs to go to be in the most dangerous areas. So, and it also makes you a little bit unpredictable. You've got Son and Mertens and a cam, or you've got 2 strikers and a cam. So sometimes they can maybe get a little congested. I want, to have that spacing, and it makes you a little more unpredictable if you've got one of them on free roam there to move into different areas. Then for my wide ones, I've got come back on defense, get into the box for cross. Same thing on both wide ones. And then your CDM, you want him on stay back while attacking. I would potentially, I haven't even tried this, but I would potentially even consider drop between defenders. If you really needed to go all out, what you could do is play the CDM on drop between defenders and then put your fullbacks on either join the attack or balance. That's an option you can do for sure. But you've got to make sure your CDM is going to be defending. You don't want to get them involved in the attack too much, because you just got this one CDM that's going to have to cover the whole back line and stop those through balls, stop that transition if you turn the ball over. But this is the formation I recommend if you need to come back in the game. But overall, this 4-2-3-1 is working absolutely insane for me. Just doing wonders for us. But anyways, boys, this is going to wrap up the video for now. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you have any comments, please leave them down below. Please make sure to follow me on Twitter and subscribe. But I will see you guys soon. Bye.